Hello and welcome everyone to Boston University's Genealogy Program webinar. Thank you for tuning in this afternoon to learn more about BU's two distinguished online courses and what you can expect from your studies with us. My name is Sarah and I'll be moderating today's session alongside our host and Program Director, Melissa Johnson, and BU's Enrollment Advisor, Amber Nolan. We'll be conducting a live questions and answers session at the end of our presentation. So please be sure to use your questions box in your attendee control panel to submit your questions throughout the duration of the webinar or during the session. And we have quite a large audience joining us today, so we will address as many questions as time allows. Our fully online program is designed to help amateurs and experts alike conduct more accurate professional research and break through difficult research problems. So during today's presentation, we'll discuss the two courses offered at BU, Genealogical Principles and the Certificate in Genealogical Research, the curriculum covered in each course, some course logistics, and the registration process. I would now like to introduce the Genealogy Program Director and Certified Genealogist, Melissa Johnson. Melissa joins us today with 4 years of teaching experience at BU and 15 years of experience as a practicing genealogist, a national lecturer, educator, and an author. And much of her work has been distributed in well-known genealogy journals, magazines, and other publications. So with that, Melissa, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I'd like to start out by talking a little bit about my own genealogy journey, how I got interested in genealogy and how I came to attend as a student the Boston University programs and later become the program director. My genealogy story really started when I was in grammar school with 2 autobiography projects that both included a family history component. And I got very interested in family history as a result of those projects. I also, around the same time, lost my paternal grandfather, and he had been interested in genealogy just in the years prior to when he died. And that's him with me down at the bottom right with our childhood dog. And so he lost his mother at a young age. So he was interested in kind of knowing a little more about her family. And when he passed away, my dad gave me, when I was 10 years old, all of the papers that he had collected and had been working on. So I really had my interest sparked by the projects for school, but also by that as well. So as I continued through high school, my parents really helped to foster my interest in genealogy, buying me different software and programs, and they were CD-ROMs back then, kind of sparking my interest even more in learning the research process. When I was in college, I did a study abroad in London, and I was able to research some of my British family there. And that brought me into my post-college period where I started taking on genealogy clients. And that's right after I found the BU program. I enrolled as a student, and I really enjoyed what I learned there. I used it in practice and became a certified genealogist several years after that. Another thing that really sparked my interest is related to my other grandfather, who is in the top right with me sitting on his lap as a child. After I became really interested in genealogy, DNA became popular. And through my initial interest in DNA testing, I was able to figure out that something wasn't quite right with his paternal line. And long story short, he had a different father than the rest of his siblings, which was something that I found out through DNA testing and using documentary research. And that is his family down in the black and white picture on the bottom left. So that's a little bit about my story and how I became interested in genealogy. And I can tell you a little bit more now about BU's genealogy programs. So Boston University's programs, there are two of them. We have our Genealogical Principles program and our Certificate in Genealogical Research program. So Genealogical Principles is a 7-week program, so that's half a semester, and the Certificate in Genealogical Research program is 15 weeks, which is a full semester. Students who successfully complete the requirements of the certificate program will receive a certificate in genealogical research from Boston University. And as we go through these, I'll explain as much as I can, but feel free to visit our website. There's a quiz on the website that can help you determine which of these programs is right for you. Generally, more experienced students or more advanced students would take the 15-week program, but some students like to start with genealogical principles and then move to the genealogical research certificate program. So a little bit about genealogical principles. Again, this is our 7-week program. As Sarah mentioned, all of our programs are online. You work through them continuously, but you do need to stay on track to complete the material within a week, but you can complete your work at any time. There are no set times for courses or classes that are mandatory for you to be online. So genealogical principles basically covers the basics of understanding how to complete successful genealogical research. So gaining a good understanding of different terminology and concepts in the genealogy field, really honing your research skills, learning how to be a good researcher, how to establish good research habits, and then learning about new resources that you may not have found previously, different research strategies, and different kinds of methodology for working with different programs. We also cover a basic understanding of the Genealogical Proof Standard, which is, of course, our standard of proof in the genealogy field. And then we talk about using public records and provide an introduction to DNA and ethnicity estimates. So our first couple of modules in the Genealogical Principles program really focus on laying a good foundation, as I mentioned, establishing good research habits. So we're going to talk about basics, the different kinds of tools we use. We touch on different kinds of records, including immigration research. We have some great assignments focused on using different kinds of court records, like probate records. We also will focus on writing quite a bit. So in our field, as I mentioned, we use the Genealogical Proof Standard, and in order to prove a conclusion, that relies on having something in writing, a written conclusion. So we do talk about putting proof into narrative written structures. And then we also will teach students about sources and how to evaluate them for reliability, how to transcribe and abstract to standards in the field, and how to use timelines to really advance your research. We also will talk about research planning and logging your research results and creating research reports. And then when we do talk about genetic genealogy in the Principles program, we talk about the different types of tests, some ethical standards, and how to interpret the results. Also, as part of the Principles program, our assignments give students some real-world practice into using records. So we use different types of sources for students to examine and to be able to complete assignments, such as abstracting and developing the research plans. We have them dive right into some online databases that you may be familiar with that may be new to you. Some of them are provided with the course itself. And then also making sure students understand how to log their research, how to report, how to create timelines. Those are all part of the assignments so that students get some real world practice and they can apply those skills when they complete the program. For the genetic genealogy aspect of the course, we do talk quite a bit about ethics, as I mentioned, going over the DNA test results and making sure students can really understand what different types of tests are out there and what they can be used for in terms of problem solving. So in the principles program, it's a basic introduction to DNA, but if you're not familiar with it or you are not familiar with how to actually use the results to solve problems, it's a great introduction to what is available, what's out there in terms of tests and testing companies, and how these tests can be used in collaboration with documentary research to solve genealogical problems. We do require several books for the principles course. These are great books. Many of you may have them already. The Everything Guide to Online Genealogy by Kimberly Powell, who is one of our instructors in the course, is one of them. The Board for Certification of Genealogists, Genealogy Standards Manual is another. And then to support the DNA testing lessons in the course, we have students get the Family Tree Guide to DNA Testing and Genetic Genealogy. So these are great books that every genealogist should have on their shelves. Now we're going to go over the Certificate in Genealogical Research program, which again is a 15-week full semester program. It does consist of 4 modules. So our modules in the course are genealogical methods, evidence evaluation and documentation, forensic genealogy, and genealogy as a profession. And the course overall, the goal is to teach to current genealogy standards. So everything that you're learning is teaching to standards and teaching you how to use the Genealogical Proof Standard. So what we usually recommend for students coming into the certificate program is that they are more experienced in genealogy, meaning that they have been doing genealogical research on a more advanced level for a couple of years. So typically, we like to see that students have had some genealogical education previously, so through conferences or institutes or belonging to a local genealogical society and attending their events, whether they're monthly meetings or full-day conferences. Also, many students who complete the Genealogical Principles course and have had some time in between completing the Principles course and starting the certificate course to actually apply what they've learned in the real world seem to do well in the certificate program. This course does require a little bit more advanced computer skills because you are submitting assignments in the form of more like papers rather than quizzes and assessments. So making sure that you understand how to use Microsoft Word and some of its features, like how to use footnotes and how to create tables and things like that, is also something that's recommended for students entering the program. But most importantly, we like to see that students have experience outside of doing research online. So if you've gone to your state archive, if you've gone to your courthouse and looked through deed books and looked at wills there, if you've put microfilm on a reel at your library and looked for vital records there. Also, we like to see that students have some familiarity with genealogical publications. So if you're reading magazines and journals from your state or local societies or national genealogical societies, that's also a great sign that you are ready for the program. Aside from that, the course is very much dependent on you submitting assignments that are meeting standards, so definitely making sure that you have good writing skills, and of course access to the internet, because this is an advanced program that will require constantly connecting to our online campus platform. So we're going to go through the different modules for the research program. Genealogical methods is our first module. And again, that focuses on kind of the basics, setting the standard for good research habits, and specifically going beyond what principles teaches you to think about what is a logical process for doing research, how to use your critical thinking skills to determine, what to do next to really analyze the information that's being presented to you. And then taking a long look at the research cycle process, making sure that you are thinking in the right way and taking the right steps as you advance your research. The genealogical methods module also talks about DNA and how to start to use it to apply to research, which we build upon further in Module 3 of the course. But basically, this sets the stage for students to really learn how to analyze information, how to put information together so that they can solve complex genealogical research problems. Our next module is evidence evaluation and documentation. And this is where you really dive into what the records are telling us. So you have complex research problems. You really want to analyze every little bit of evidence that is coming in that applies to that research problem. So we have all these documents. We have to really pick apart the information that's relevant. We need to make sure that we understand how valid that document is, how reliable it is. So we create source citations. And this module focuses a lot on really creating citations, understanding what those documents were created for, and understanding what they tell you and how credible or reliable it is. So this module really focuses a lot on your analytical skills and being able to understand and process the information that's related to a certain research subject or a research problem or a case that you're working on. So what we talk about in the genealogy field in terms of some key terminology are sources, information, evidence, and proof. And this module really helps you to understand the meaning of those and how to pick them apart and apply them to your research. Our next module, Module 3, focuses on forensic genealogy. So this is a very hot topic now. A lot of the module focuses on DNA, but forensic genealogy does cover other topics as well. So we do have several assignments that teach you how to work with autosomal DNA in an ethical manner, which is very important. Some of them are focused on also identifying missing heirs, so working with records related to living people and making sure that we're taking into consideration ethics and privacy considerations while doing that. So we do have several assignments there that use autosomal DNA that focus on tracing the living, which there are many reasons why you would want to do that in the forensic genealogy world. And this is a great module for those who are looking to work on unknown parentage cases and perhaps take on forensic genealogy as a career, either through an existing employer or on their own as a professional. And our last module is really a great wrap-up of everything that you've learned in the course. It's called Genealogy as a Profession because it focuses on writing research reports and really assembling and pulling together research results for clients. That being said, not everyone who takes the program wants to take clients. Some people want to create professional work products for themselves, for patrons of their library. So everyone needs to learn how to create a research report in a professional manner. Whether you use it professionally to take clients is another story, but everyone needs to learn this skill. It is an essential writing skill and an essential skill that will help you meet the genealogical proof standard. Also in this module, we do focus on some professional elements of the genealogy field. So we talk about business considerations, we talk about different educational pursuits after the program is over, such as those who want to seek BCG certification with the Board for Certification of Genealogists. And then also looking at different opportunities. Where can you take your career as a professional genealogist? Those are all part of this module. And one of the things that students really love about this module are the live Q&As with our instructional team, who are all practicing professional genealogists. The Genealogical Research Certificate program does require some books. You'll see some of them are the same as what we talked about for the Principles course, including the Genealogy Standards Manual and the Guide to DNA Testing and Genetic Genealogy. This program also requires 2 additional texts, Mastering Genealogical Documentation, which is used primarily in Module 2, and Professional Genealogy, which is used throughout the program. I wanted to highlight just a couple of former students who have taken the program and sort of what they learned from it and where they went with their careers. Mary Tedesco is a former host that many of you may have seen on Genealogy Roadshow. She completed the BU Certificate in Genealogical Research program several years ago, and she has an active career now as a professional genealogist and is very well known as a speaker and an author. So she has really highlighted the program as, something that she did after earning her undergraduate degree, and that really helped her to continue her educational journey in genealogy, and she highly recommends the program to other students as well. Another former student is Michael Mcclellan. He is currently the treasurer of the Massachusetts Society of Genealogists, and he took the Genealogical Research Program as well. And he recommends the program based on the faculty and their ability to really help and provide great feedback on assignments. That was one of the primary benefits of the program for him. He also really enjoyed the online format and how to transition between modules as you learn more from the program. I also wanted to share a little bit about our instructional team. So I am the program director, but there are instructors for each of the modules, both in principles and the certificate program. Many of these instructors are people you may know as speakers and authors and professional genealogists. Allison Ryal teaches in principles and the certificate program. She's one of our key instructors and has been with the program since before I took the program many years ago. Michelle Goodrum and Corey Oysen, they handle Module 2, Evidence Analysis. Jennifer Zink and Emily Hackett-Fisk are the instructors for Forensic Genealogy. And then Kimberly Powell and myself are the instructors for Genealogy as a Profession. Also in the Principles program, Julie Machutka and Shannon Green are instructors, along with Allison Ryal as well. So that is our instructional team, and I am going to pass it over to Amber right now to discuss the course logistics and schedules.
All righty. Thank you, Melissa. So for the course logistics, I know many of you have asked the question of how many hours per week is recommended. So as you can see on this slide, for the principles, we do suggest 7 to 10 hours per week. And for the certificate, 15 to 30 hours per week. And that is, the course is asynchronous. So those, we do call out those times, but you can spend that time in your schedule, whenever you can. So it doesn't have to be consistently, on a certain day per se. So you are going to communicate with the faculty via discussion boards and an internal message system. So you can communicate with the other people in your cohort and with the faculty. As I said, it's asynchronous, so you can do your coursework when you can during the week, but you do have to meet the deadlines and turn in your homework by certain times, and you will know that prior so that you can schedule your week. Firefox and Google Chrome are recommended as far as the browsers. Laptops and PCs are required, so you wouldn't want to, do this on your phone, not that anyone would, or an iPad, but you do want a laptop or a PC. These are instructor-led courses, which is why they are set sessions, because you will have the interaction with the instructors that Melissa just mentioned, and different ones will teach you different modules, so you do get quite a variation. And as far as the online course platform, what that means is the course is hosted on Blackboard, which is a platform. So you're not downloading anything to get into the course per se. You're going to have a login and you're going to log into Blackboard. Okay, so the program schedule for this coming year, and going forward, we always offer the program 3 times per year. The January is considered our spring session, May is our summer session, and September is the fall session. So both the principals and CERT are offered those 3 times a year. They start on the same day. So the next session that we're enrolling for currently for both principals and certificate is our summer session that begins May 11th. The enrollment deadline for that is April 30th. And the tuition for the principals is $995, and the certificate is $2,695. And that is the website there if you did want to go on there and find out any other information. We do offer throughout the year additional second session of the principles. It's something new we've started. So when you're on the website, sometimes you'll see a spring and then another session. It's not 2 sessions of principles, it's just an additional offering of principles. So in that sense, right now, you'd see on the website that we have added a second session of principles, and that's going to start on March 16th. And the enrollment deadline for that is March 9th. We do offer different payment options. The monthly payment plans, how those are scheduled, it depends on when you enroll as far as how long the payment plan can be. So let's say you're enrolling, let's say 4 months out from the course start date, then you could pay a 1/4 that month you enroll, the next 30 days another payment, the next 30 days another payment. So it does depend on how far in advance you're enrolling for the session. Third-party payments would be perhaps your employer might be paying for it. We do accept those. Education loans are available for these, which is the Sallie Mae Smart Option Loan. The directions for that are on our website. And then if you do have military benefits, the VA or my CAA tuition funding is approved for these programs as well. This is a great benefit. If you're a member of any of these associations, you would get a 10% discount on the course. So that would make the principals would be then $895, and then the certificate goes down to $2,495. So it's nice, significant savings. You'd see on the website, there's a code for each of these associations that you would put in the shopping cart, and it would take the 10% off for you. There we are. If you have any questions after this, I know it's hard for you to get all your questions answered in this forum. We would be happy to help you. Any of our enrollment team would be happy to answer any questions. There is an email that you could send us an email with questions. Our phone number is 617-502-8822. And then there is the webpage is genealogyonline.bu.edu. So we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you so much, Amber, and thank you, Melissa, for the wealth of valuable information about our genealogy program. At this time, we'll now begin the Q&A session. So please just remember to use your questions box on the right-hand side of your screen to ask your questions. And we have quite a few that have already come in throughout the duration of the webinar. I know Amber's been answering a few on the back end, but we'll start with a few live. And the first one, Melissa, I will pass to you, please. This person's asking, what websites do you need to complete the program? Is Ancestry and MyHeritage used at all?
That's a great question. So any students that are enrolled in the program will be provided with login credentials for Ancestry Library Edition. We do require that students use the Ancestry Library Edition rather than their personal Ancestry subscriptions, just because we are trying to teach genealogy, and the Ancestry Library Edition has less in terms of hints and things that may make assignments easier or make them too easy to complete. So we do provide that. We also provide access to Heritage Quest. And then aside from that, students for each assignment are given instructions on sort of what they can and can't use for assignments, but anything that you are required to use or that you need to use, we would provide to you the login information as part of your enrollment in the course. So there's nothing specific outside of, enrolling that students would need to get subscriptions for or anything like that.
Great, thank you so much. Next question for you, Melissa. This person's saying, will the principal's course or the certificate help with genealogical research overseas? They're hoping to learn how to track down family that came to the US and from where they came.
Yes, so our courses do focus more on kind of general methodology, but we use a variety of different assignments on different time periods, different ethnic groups, different religions, to teach those different kinds of concepts. We do have quite a bit of a focus on immigration. So if you're looking for researching families that came from overseas, a lot of the information about those families can be found in immigration records, but we are not teaching only about American research or only about Canadian research or anything like that. So the tools and methodologies and strategies that we teach can be applied more broadly to any type of genealogical research.
Great, thank you so much. And how are weekly lessons delivered? Are we going to receive lectures, videos, readings, and assignments and the like?
Sure. So there's a couple of different ways, and it does depend on each module, but we do a variety of different things for students. So we have our own course content that students are required to read that you will find in the course. We also have reading assignments in those external books, the ones that I mentioned in the webinar. We also have live sessions with our instructors. We have recorded webinars. We have a lot of instructional videos in the content, in the course content. We also have discussion boards, which are places where you would be asked to post kind of a response or an answer to a series of questions, or also comment on other students' answers. So it's more of a kind of an engaging platform. And then of course, not so much in terms of the lessons, but the output that you provide. There are assignments and assessments. So those are your papers that you're going to be submitting. And then also assessments, meaning quizzes that you take that are more internal in the system, not so much a paper that you're writing. But in terms of what we deliver to the students as far as instruction, it is quite a bit of a variety of reading and instructional videos, live sessions, and the discussion boards.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And for you, Melissa, does any part of the program focus on genealogy for more diverse populations?
Yes, so as I mentioned earlier, the program does focus more on general methodology that can be applied across the board, but we have a variety of assignments that focus on different ethnic groups, different racial groups, different religions, things like that. So we don't have, all of our assignments that are focused on, one particular time period or ethnic or racial group. Everything is quite a bit of a variety. To give you an example, in Module 1, there are assignments that include an Eastern European family who immigrated in the early 1900s. There's an assignment that includes an African American family in the 1840s. There's another one that is about an old American family in the late 1800s. So there's lots of variety in the assignments, and that's how we give students kind of a glimpse into different time periods and parts of the country and parts of other countries and things like that throughout the course.
Great, thank you so much. And could you suggest perhaps a trajectory, job, or profession to work in before completing the certificate?
I think all of our students really come from different kind of backgrounds. So before completing the certificate, there really isn't any kind of requirement for a job or a profession to work in. Most people come to genealogy by first kind of researching their own family history and progress from there. So I can't think of a position that would be more helpful than something else. Most of this is based on interest and kind of level of prior engagement in genealogy, not so much a profession.
Great, thank you. And could you perhaps give a high-level outline of how one would go about becoming a certified genealogist?
Sure, that's a great question. So, and just to clarify, our program, the Certificate in Genealogical Research, you receive a certificate from Boston University, which is not the same thing as becoming a certified genealogist. It is a great first step. It was my first step toward becoming a certified genealogist, but being certified and having a certificate are two different things. If you want to know more about certification, I would suggest visiting the Board for Certification of Genealogists website and downloading their application guide. So that is the actual process for becoming certified in terms of what you have to submit for your portfolio. But as far as getting there in the first place, many students who complete the program do go on to become certified genealogists. And a lot of them have taken other programs in between completing BU and becoming a certified genealogist. There are a couple other programs, the ProGen Study Group. There are a lot of genealogy institutes out there that further advance your knowledge on more specific topics, like if you wanted to become an expert in New Jersey research or German research, or African American research or Eastern European research. There are several genealogy institutes out there that will help support that by, you can take week-long classes there. The BU program is great. I definitely recommend it to anyone who is wanting to pursue Board for Certification of Genealogists certification. But looking at kind of the process, it's to become a certified genealogist it's not easy. I won't say it's extremely difficult, but it's definitely not easy, and it takes a lot of education and a lot of preparation to get there.
Great answer. Thank you so much, Melissa. And a few people have asked, is there any live classes or live interaction during the program with your other classmates or group assignments?
So there are not any group assignments. All of our assignments are individual, but there's a lot of interaction with other students and with your instructors. So all of the instructors have what we call live classroom sessions, and it's via Zoom within our online campus platform. So that's where students can ask questions, learn about the material, interact with other students, kind of piggyback on other students' questions. So it's kind of like being in a classroom, only it's virtual. And then also our discussion boards too. So some of our discussion boards focus on, like I mentioned, a specific question that's being asked, and you're being assigned a task to answer it and respond to other students. But we also have a more general, we call it the water cooler discussion board, where other students can interact with each other, and then also a discussion board for asking the instructors questions. So there's a lot of interaction in the course.
Great, thank you. And how much overlap would you say is there between the principles course and the certificate as far as content and modules?
So there isn't any exact overlap. Some of the content in genealogical methods, which is the first module of the certificate program, piggybacks off of kind of what you learn in the principles program. But there's none of it is repetitive, where you would get the same assignments in one course and another. The courses are designed to build off of each other.
Great, thank you. And what associations would you recommend a beginner or intermediate genealogist join before taking the course, or even while taking the course?
So I definitely would recommend for students to join their local genealogical society, even if your family isn't from the area. That's a great way to network with people and kind of see programs on a local level, attend virtual or all-day events that they may have. Also, the National Genealogical Society is a great society for anyone to join. They have a magazine and a journal that's really helpful. They have a great website that has some teaching tools on it as well. And then a lot of students, when they complete the program, will join the Association of Professional Genealogists, or perhaps some more specialized societies, like a German society or a Polish society or something like that. But there's no requirement that you have to complete the program to join any of those. I definitely was a member of many of them before I took the BU program.
Great, thank you. And I'm not sure if you've mentioned this before, but if you could just quickly explain, if this person is seeking BCG certification, are both the principles and certificate program vital to achieve that?
So it depends on your experience level now coming in. So if you are experienced enough that you take a look at the quiz, take a look at the content, and you feel that you're experienced enough to go into the certificate program directly, that would be a great path. There's no requirement as far as education for BCG certification. So many people do take the BU programs and pursue certification, but there are also some people that have not taken the BU program and completed certification. So there's no requirement. I just want to be clear about that. But if you are kind of contemplating whether you belong in principles or the certificate program, my suggestion would be to start with principles, and then once you're comfortable, move on to certificate program, and that would be a great viable path for certification, but it's certainly not the only path.
Great answer, thank you. And could you maybe go over the DNA module a little bit further at a high level? Do you cover how to use tools like the DNA Painter, perhaps?
We do cover a lot of different tools in the course. DNA Painter is definitely one of them. Some of the assignments are related to DNA. For example, we give you an unknown parentage case to solve in the program. So we give you a problem and some basic DNA tester information for that person whose parentage you're trying to solve, and then some documents, and ask students to basically, make sense of them, identify the person's parentage based on the DNA and the documentary evidence. We also have some assignments that are focused on photo identification, which is also part of forensic genealogy, and then also using tools like the What Are the Odds tool, DNA Painter, and some other tools for working with genetic genealogy.
Great, thank you. And Melissa, a few people have expressed concern about attending the live sessions or instructor-led classes because they work during the day. Do you have any advice for people with this?
Sure. So a lot of the live sessions are actually in the evening. We do know that most people taking this program are working professionals. So the live sessions typically, I would say most of them are usually at 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern time in the evening, but they also are always recorded. So they can be caught at a later time if the date and time doesn't work for you, and attendance at them live is not mandatory. So you can always catch them even if you can't attend at that specific time.
Great, thank you so much. And would you recommend somebody who's completed the principles course go right into the certificate course, or maybe perhaps have a little bit of a lag between sessions?
It really depends on the person, but I would say typically not. What is usually recommended for someone who's completed principles is that they take a semester or two off and really apply what they've learned in principles to their own research, apply it to maybe some volunteer projects, actually get out there and start issuing or start working in libraries and repositories, which I know is a little difficult now because of COVID, start using some of the different resources they learned about, and then take some time and actually put that in practice. We find that students who do that, who take the time to do that, generally do much better in the certificate program.
Thank you so much. And a few folks have asked, will we be required to travel to a local or state archive or library during the course, or has that been postponed due to COVID?
I'm sorry, Sarah, you cut out there. I didn't hear the full question. Can you say it again?
Of course, sorry about that. So a few people have asked if it will be required to travel to local or state archives or libraries, or has that been postponed due to COVID?
No, there's no travel required. We have typically had an assignment in Module 4 of the certificate program that did require students to go to a library and choose a collection and complete an assignment based on the collection of their choice. However, that has since changed due to COVID, and we have modified that assignment to where we are providing students with the documents that they normally would find in an archive. So no specific visits to anywhere are required. Everything is completely online right now.
Great, thank you. And the next question for you is the principal's course suitable for someone that just wants to do detailed research into their own family, or is that not necessary for this?
I'm sorry, Sarah, you were cutting out again. For some reason, I have a bad connection. I just caught the end of the question.
No worries. Can you hear me okay now?
It's a little better. It's still cutting out a little.
How about now? Is it clear here?
That sounded better, yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. We'll try to go through this one. Is the principal's course suitable for someone just wanting to do detailed research on their own family history, or is that not necessary?
Either of these classes are suitable for anyone who is wanting to just do a better job at researching their own family history. But students will also learn how to really take on clients and do client work in that module 4 of the research program. So many of our students, while many of our students have goals of becoming professional genealogists, there are also a ton of students who take the program just to learn better research strategies and techniques for researching their own families.
Great, thank you. Can you still hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Let's just see here. We have a few more. We have about 10 more minutes. So I'm just going through some of the final questions here. Here's one. Is it ethical to help other people find ancestors if you don't have the certification, or should you start doing free work for friends or family just to get more experience?
So I'll start answering that question by just making clear the difference between certification and the certificate program just once more. So certification means being certified by the Board for Certification of Genealogists. And then the people who complete the certificate program through BU, they are certificate holders. So those are two different things, but neither of them are required to do work for other people on finding their family, their ancestors. I did work as a professional genealogist before I started in the BU program and also before I was certified. And there are many people who do, and that's fine. So it's definitely not required, but it is a certificate and a credential that definitely helps you have more credibility. You definitely have more knowledge, and you definitely will gain more clients, by having a certificate or certification going forward. So it's something that can only help you. It can't hurt.
Great, thank you so much. And this person's asking, how long do the Zoom meetings usually last, and how many days a week can we expect?
The Zoom meetings are usually about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how many questions students have. And it depends on the module. Module 4, my module, we do there's 3 of them in like a 2.5 week period. Module 1, I know they generally do about 1 a week. Sometimes they do 2 a week depending on the topic, but it kind of varies a little bit, but they're definitely not daily, but they're not too frequent, but not too infrequent either.
Thank you. And this is an interesting question, one that I've also wondered myself. Is it I found it difficult to read a lot of handwritten documents. Is there help with interpreting this in the course?
Yes, so we do have transcribing and abstracting exercises in the course, and course material and external readings that will help with that as well.
Great, thank you. And Melissa, this one here, this person says, I haven't been in school in a long time. Is there an average age of students, or is it from all over the spectrum?
It's really all over the spectrum. We have, some students that haven't been in school for 40, 50 years that take the course. And then we have some people that are in their 20s that are just out of school. So there's really quite a bit of a range. I would say, if I had to guess, there are definitely more people in your position that have not been in school for a very long time than there are students who are, recently graduated from college or other higher education.
Thank you. All right. And can you establish a monetized business based on genealogy for clients? And I know you've done that yourself, Melissa. I don't know if you want to just give a little bit of an insights into how you work your business.
Sure, absolutely you can. There are many professional genealogists, most of them working solo, who have their own sole proprietorships or, small businesses that are LLCs. That's what I have done. I run a genealogy business in addition to my work with BU, and so do many of the instructors. And actually, part of Module 4, some of the sessions that I give are focused on how to actually do that, how to set yourself up, how to set rates, how to market yourself. Basically, can I make money as a professional genealogist? So that's something that we definitely cover in the course. And it's definitely possible and feasible, and many of the graduates of the program have done that.
Great, thank you. And to follow up to that one, do professional genealogists hire people to help them with their workload at all?
Yes, they definitely do. So there are a lot of people, other professional genealogists that I hire because I need a record from Texas or California, or I need someone to go into a certain library in Michigan and I can't access it. So there's a lot of collaboration and networking and among professional genealogists. You'll definitely find that, but sometimes they also do hire research assistants and personal assistants to help them with research. I have several research assistants in different locations that help with different things, pulling records and online research and project setups and things like that. So those opportunities are definitely available.
Thank you. And is any part of a module dedicated to analysis of historic photographs at all?
There is a photo identification assignment as part of Module 3, the forensic module, where we focus on really diving into the features of a photo to figure out who the family is and to date the photo and provide information about the people who are in it. So yes, that is part of Module 3.
Great, thank you so much. And it looks like we have about 5 minutes left to the session. So if anyone has any last minute questions they'd like to get in before we close for the day, I welcome you to do that at the time. We have Amber wonderfully answering questions in the background too. That's helped sort of alleviate the live questions here. So thank you, Amber. This is a question for you, Melissa. I feel strong in most areas except for citations. Would I be behind if I started with a certificate program first?
It really depends on, your other skills in research. I would suggest definitely taking the quiz. It also can be helpful to do some prep work prior to the class if you feel like you're qualified otherwise for the research program, but your citations are kind of your weak area. Going through the book, the Mastering Genealogical Documentation, and kind of getting a jump start on that might be helpful to you. Otherwise, you could start with the principles program, but The other thing too is just making sure that you really have enough time set aside in Module 2 if you think that that's the one that you might struggle with a little bit more or need a little bit more attention in. Making sure kind of your plate is clear during that, because it may take you a little more time than the others. But I wouldn't say it's definitely something that would keep you from the program. I would just want to make sure that you can manage those expectations.
Thank you, Melissa. And this person says, where would you suggest we volunteer to get more experience?
I would start with your local society, so your county society or your state society can be a great place. Also, if you have a local library that has like a genealogy room or a local history room or a reference librarian that answers genealogy questions, you might want to start there as well. Some professional genealogists will also take people kind of under their wing as an intern or a volunteer. So you might want to reach out to anyone you know as well to see if they have any volunteer projects they're working on that they might be able to help incorporate you into.
Wonderful, thank you. And Amber, I'll pass this one off to you if I could, please. I know a lot of people have asked about the books. Are books provided as part of the tuition, or should students purchase them on their own?
Great. So a couple things. So for the principles, the spring 2 session of principles, those books you would need to purchase on your own. If you are interested in the summer session, either the certificate or the principles, and you can enroll this month, we are having a promotion where the books are included. So again, that's only for enrollments this month. So you'd have up until Sunday to enroll, and you would get the free books for the summer sessions only. So it does not include that Principles Spring 2 that starts in March. Otherwise, if you can't enroll this month to buy the books, you can get them from any bookseller. And you can just copy and paste the whole ISBN number or the title, put it in your search bar, and the books will pop up, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any of the major booksellers.
Thank you, Amber. And keeping it with you, if I could, what is the difference between the two principles sessions? Is the March session the same as the summer session?
Yes, they're exact same course. They're just offered different times. So it's not like a two-part situation. It's the exact same course, just offered over 2 different dates.
Great, thank you so much. All
You're
right.
welcome.
I think we might be at the questions here. Let me just see one more time. And there's a question that says, is the free book offer for the summer or for the certificate course only? And I think Amber just had mentioned that it's for the summer session for either the principles or the certificate course for the free book offer. All right, I think that brings us just to time here. So as long as there's no other questions, I think we can wrap up here. So thank you, Melissa, again, for all of your wealth of knowledge, and Amber for answering questions here. And thank all of you for spending your time with us today. We look forward to supporting your success in the near future as you hone your research skills to discover perhaps your own family story or maybe even that of others. And with that, stay well and have a pleasant afternoon. Thank you.